talk about the beautiful business of milk today, yeah. I got milk. Let's talk about milk. Oh yeah, baby, let's talk about the beautiful business of milk today.
This episode of Got Milk is sponsored by Shunya Agritech, the folks revolutionizing cattle nutrition with hydroponic green fodder. Visit their website at shunya.live for more details or download the Shunya app from Play Store or App Store.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. You guys know we love taking your suggestions for deep dives, and today we're tackling one that's been requested a bunch: milk production in Northeast India.
It's a great topic.
Yeah, we're going to be digging into this really interesting article. It's called Current Scenario of Milk Production in the Northeastern States of India, Challenges and Mitigation Strategies to Address Milk Shortfall.
Catchy title.
Right. It was published in October 2024 in the Indian Journal of Animal Sciences.
Okay.
So we're going to try to break down why this region struggles to produce, enough milk for its people. And we'll look at what solutions are out there. Plus, you're going to meet a cow called Lakimi.
Lakimi.
Yeah. She's special, only found in Assam. But before we get all doom and gloom about the challenges, there's this kind of crazy thing. Sikkim actually produces more milk than it needs.
That's right. Sikkim's a fascinating case. But to really get this whole milk production thing in Northeast India, we've got to zoom out a bit first.
Oh, okay. So, set the scene for us. What's different about this region when it comes to dairy?
So livestock, right. It's a huge deal in the agricultural economy of Northeast India. Income, jobs, and super important, nutrition. It's essential in the fight against poverty and food insecurity.
Right.
However, there's this big milk deficit. Most states can't meet their own demand. They're way below the national average, and even further behind the ICMR, the Indian Council of Medical Research. Their recommendation is 300 grams of milk per day per person.
Okay.
That's the ideal, anyway.
Yeah. So how bad is it, really? How much are they producing compared to the rest of India?
The numbers are pretty stark. 2022-23, the average person in Northeast India had access to only about 85 grams of milk a day. The national average was 459 grams.
Whoa, that's a massive difference.
It's huge.
So, what's the main reason? Not enough cows.
It's trickier than that.
Yeah.
Some states are seeing fewer dairy animals overall, but there's actually more crossbred cattle. The catch is that these crossbreds, while they produce more milk, they might not do so well in the Northeast-specific climate. Not as well as the indigenous breeds anyway.
So, trade-off, huh? More milk, but maybe weaker cows. What's so special about these indigenous breeds, then?
These are breeds like Lakimi cattle in Assam, Kutho in Nagaland, and Siri in Sikkim. They've evolved over time to really thrive there. Hardy, handle the weather changes, more resistant to local diseases. That's crucial.
Yeah, makes sense. Focusing only on crossbreeding, like you said, might backfire if the cows can't handle the environment. Does this article talk about other breeding strategies?
It does. It pushes for policies that are specific to each state, Recognize the strengths of both indigenous and crossbred animals. No one-size-fits-all solution. Each state has different conditions, different breeds available, even different cultural stuff around dairy farming.
Gotcha. So finding the right balance. But is it just about the type of cows? There's got to be other reasons for the low milk production, right?
Definitely. The article points out a bunch of other challenges all kind of linked together. One biggie is reliable access to feed and fodder, especially during the summer. There's a 75% deficit in feed.
75%. Seriously. No wonder milk production suffers if the cows aren't getting enough to eat. Are they trying to fix that?
It's a tough one. No easy answer. Improving pasture management, finding different fodder sources, and using techniques like silage making so there's enough feed all year round. These are all things they're looking into.
All right, so feed is key. What other pieces of the puzzle are we missing?
Infrastructure. Many areas just don't have enough cold storage and milk processing facilities. So milk spoils, shorter shelf life, transportation to markets is a nightmare.
Right, like a chain reaction. Even if you solve the cow and feed problem, the milk might not even reach anyone. Any other logistical stuff we should be aware of?
Oh, yeah. A lot of farmers struggle to get their milk to the right markets. They got to rely on middlemen, which cuts into their profit.
Makes sense.
And then there's veterinary care. Access to those essential services, especially artificial insemination, is super low in some states. Like Arunachal Pradesh has only 1% coverage.
1%. Seriously, that's wild. Seems like they need way more investment in vets and training, especially in those far-off areas.
Absolutely. Without decent healthcare and breeding practices, milk production takes a hit and farmers lose out on potential income. It's a cycle they need to break.
So we've got low productivity, feed shortages, bad infrastructure, limited market access, not enough vets. Feeling kind of overwhelmed here. Is there any hope for Northeast India to actually increase milk production with all this going on?
There is, and that's what we'll look at next. Despite all these challenges, the article makes it clear that there's huge potential for growth in this sector.
Okay, that's good to hear. But before we get to the solutions, gotta go back to Sikkim for a sec. How are they swimming in milk when everyone else is struggling?
That, my friend, is the million-dollar question, and we'll tackle it right after this.
Okay, so spill the tea. What's Sikkim's secret sauce? They're like the milk magicians of Northeast India.
Right. It's fascinating. First off, they just love milk in Sikkim. Average household there drinks almost 2 kilos of milk a day.
2 kilos! That's like my weekly intake. No wonder they're doing, well, they've got a built-in market right there. But is that the only reason?
Yeah, there's more to it. Sikkim's got this awesome network of dairy cooperatives. They really help out the milk producers.
We've been talking about cooperatives a lot. Can you remind us why they matter so much for these dairy farmers?
Think of it like this. They're a united front for the farmers. Training, resources, better access to markets, game changers, especially for the smaller producers, and they get better prices for their milk because they've got more bargaining power when they work together.
Right, strength in numbers. So is that the key to Sikkim's success then, the cooperatives?
It's a huge part of it. They've nailed this efficient market chain, linking farmers directly to the people buying the milk. Less waste, and the milk gets where it needs to go faster.
Makes sense. But what about the cows themselves? Are they using those high-yield crossbreds like we talked about?
This is where it gets interesting. Sikkim relies more on indigenous breeds, mainly the Siri cattle.
Hold on, didn't we say those produce less milk per cow? How's that working out for them?
That's the cool part. Sikkim realized that while Siri cows may produce a bit less, they're perfectly suited to the local environment. Plus, the quality of their milk is fantastic.
So it's not always about squeezing every drop out of each cow. Sometimes the right breed for the environment makes more sense in the long run.
Exactly. Sikkim's proving that there's no one-size-fits-all. You got to understand the whole picture, like what consumers want, what resources you've got, how strong your local institutions are.
They're like a model student, showing everyone else what's possible. It's not just about more milk, it's about good milk.
I'd agree with that. They've struck a balance between production and sustainability. Definitely something to learn from.
Agreed. Okay, but let's go back to the bigger picture in Northeast India. We've got these indigenous breeds, but can we get more milk out of them without messing with their natural resilience?
That's the golden question. And it leads us right into those potential solutions the article lays out. They talk a lot about rethinking breeding policies. Instead of just pushing for crossbreeding all the time, they're saying we need programs designed for each state.
Customized, like a tailor-made suit, so each state gets what it actually needs.
Exactly. Recognize the specific challenges, the breeds they've got, even the cultural stuff around dairy farming.
Way more strategic than just assuming more crossbreeding will solve everything. What else is on the table?
Well, we've got to talk infrastructure. Can't avoid it. The article's really pushing for more dairy processing plants, chilling centers, cold storage, that whole shebang.
Yeah, we touched on that. Like, even with super cows and tons of, if you can't handle the milk properly, it's a waste.
Huge waste. Investing in infrastructure means less spoilage, better quality, and ultimately more profits. Plus, you can start making things like cheese, yogurt, butter. Opens up a whole new world for the farmers and creates new markets.
Right, so it's not just about producing more, it's about making the whole system work better. What else needs fixing?
Remember those middlemen? The article saying we got to give rural producers better access to organized milk markets.
Cut out the middleman so the farmers get a bigger slice of the pie.
Yep, exactly. Strengthen the dairy cooperatives we talked about. Connect farmers directly with consumers. Maybe even get some online platforms going. There are options.
It's about giving the farmers more control over their livelihoods.
Right, that's a big part of it. And we can't forget veterinary services. The article really hammers this point home, especially for those remote areas where they're practically non-existent. More artificial insemination, training on animal care, it's all connected.
So basically, a total support system, from breeding and feeding to healthcare and selling the milk. Sounds like a ton of work, but I guess the payoff could be huge?
It could be. Imagine a thriving dairy sector in Northeast India. Better economy, better food security, better lives for so many people. It's a powerful vision.
It is. But while we're trying to produce all this milk, what about the environmental impact? Can we really increase production and be sustainable?
That's a critical point. As we push for more milk, we've got to do it responsibly. Things like organic farming, saving water, managing manure properly, using renewable energy, it all matters.
So we're looking for that sweet spot, economic growth, social good, and a healthy planet, all at the same time.
That's the dream, right? A dairy sector that works for everyone and everything.
Now that's something I can get behind. We've covered a lot today, from the struggles to the potential, and even Sikkim's awesome success story. But before we finish, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. We've talked about how Sikkim focused on quality, not just quantity, and how indigenous breeds have so much potential.
Okay, I'm listening.
What if the whole dairy industry shifted its focus? Not just producing more milk, but producing the best milk possible. Milk that's packed with nutrients, no harmful stuff, and comes from animals treated right and raised sustainably.
Wow, that's a bold idea. A total reimagining of how we do things. But it could be a game changer.
It'd be a massive change, but totally worth it. Building a dairy sector that's not just about quantity, but about quality, ethics, and sustainability. So, next time you're enjoying a glass of milk, think about where it came from and all the potential for a better dairy future. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Keep those brains buzzing, everyone.
It really makes you think, about how we can do dairy better. But let's get back to those practical solutions from the article. Seems like there's a long road ahead to get Northeast India's dairy sector where it needs to be.
For sure. And the article lays it all out like a roadmap. One of the big things is getting those state-specific breeding policies in place.
We talked about that a little bit before, but it's worth digging deeper. What would that look like, in real life?
Well, no more cookie-cutter approach, right? Each state's got to figure out what works for them. Like take Arunachal Pradesh, super tough terrain, villages are spread out. They might want to focus on those tough indigenous breeds, like the Thutho cattle.
So matching the breed to the environment, not just chasing high yields everywhere. What about a state like Assam? They've got more people, better infrastructure.
Yeah, Assam already has a lot of crossbred cattle. For them, it's maybe more about improving the breeding that's already happening, making sure they've got good quality semen, better animal care techniques, that kind of thing.
Tailoring it to each state's situation. Makes sense. What else did the article highlight?
Can't forget about infrastructure. It's a big one. They're saying we need a major expansion of dairy processing plants, chilling centers, cold storage, all of it.
We keep coming back to that, but it's super important. Doesn't matter how much milk you get if you can't keep it fresh and get it to market.
Exactly. Investing in that infrastructure, it means less waste, higher quality, and in the end, more money for everyone. Plus, it opens up opportunities to make other dairy products. Cheese, yogurt, butter. Adds value for the farmers, and consumers get more choices.
Not just more milk, but better milk and more variety. What about those middlemen we were talking about?
Right, the article talks about getting rural producers better connected to the organized milk markets.
So cutting out the middleman so the farmers actually profit from their hard work.
Exactly. They could do that by strengthening the cooperatives, maybe starting new ones, or even look at things like online platforms, direct delivery to customers. It's about getting creative.
That would be great. Better prices for the farmers and maybe even cheaper milk. We also talked about the lack of veterinary services.
Oh yeah, can't forget about that. That's a huge one, especially in those remote areas. More access to artificial insemination, training on animal health and care, making sure they have the medicines they need.
So a whole support system, helping them with everything from breeding to healthcare to selling their milk. It's a lot to tackle, but imagine if they actually pulled it off.
Right. A strong dairy sector could totally transform Northeast India, boost the economy, make sure everyone has enough to eat. It could really make a difference in people's lives.
That's an awesome vision. It shows that even with all these challenges, there are solutions out there, real things they can do to make things better. So, to all you listeners out there, as we wrap up this deep dive into milk production in Northeast India, we hope you'll keep thinking about these issues. What can we do as consumers to support local farmers? How can we push for more responsible practices? And how can we make smart choices about the milk we buy? These are all things to consider as we learn more about where our food comes from and work towards a future where everyone benefits.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. Keep those minds curious, everyone. There's always something new to learn.
Milk